Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sunny spoke with a nurse at the hospital before tracking down Will in the chapel, where Belle and Eric were also waiting for news and reporting that Marlena was still only allowed 2 visits at a time. Will deferred to Eric and Belle before turning to Sunny and hugging him. Belle and Eric dashed into Marlena's room, shocked to realize that the bed was empty, but Sarah, who had only observed the peculiarity seconds before, was quick to stress that they were most likely dealing with an erroneous patient transfer. John quickly arrived with Marlena and described what had transpired. "I'm sorry she's gone," Sarah said, after attempting to revive Marlena. Belle raced out of the room in tears, followed by John after imploring Eric to stay put, forcing Sarah to do the same. Eric waited until the coast was clear before kneeling alongside Marlena's lifeless body and explaining that the jobs of a priest and a psychiatrist both required listening to people. "You were the one person that I could count on to listen to me," Eric told me. "My religion has supported me through difficult times until now. See, I asked God to spare your life, but he has stopped listening," Eric said. "I've never needed someone to talk to more than right now, and you're gone," Eric said before breaking down. John soon reappeared with Belle, leading Eric to bid Marlena farewell and leave the room. John fought back tears as Belle replaced Eric beside Marlena's dying body. "I'm very pleased to be your daughter. And I kept thinking about when you were in that coma and I had to fight everyone to respect your desires, not to keep you on that ventilator. And then you let me off the hook, or so we thought. You awoke, but it wasn't you, it was Hattie. And, God, I wish this was Hattie right now," Belle said before breaking down, recovering, and saying farewell to Marlena. John waited until the coast was clear before taking Marlena's right hand and shaking it, remembering about their first meeting and the early days of their relationship. "The first time I kissed you, everything changed because I realized who I was. See, I was the guy who fell in love with Dr. Evans. I trusted you, I depended on you, and I will always love you," John said quietly before breaking down. Sunny wondered if Will wanted to pray. "No. Thanks. We were praying when you entered. Or, at least, Aunt Belle and Uncle Eric were." "I can't really pray," Will said with a shrug, receiving a nod of understanding from Sunny. Will stated that he had instead pondered on his time as a closeted youngster in a growing friendship with the openly gay Sunny. "I was afraid of how I felt for you. I did not know how you feel about me. I did not know how I felt about myself. How strange that the only person I could talk to openly about it was my grandmother. And she told me to fight for you," Will remarked. "It wasn't much of a fight, it's not like I was playing hard to get," Sunny told me. Will's agent called just then, and Sunny was quick to advise against leaving the call on voicemail. "Your grandma wouldn't want you to put your entire life on hold," Sunny reasoned, and Will agreed after some contemplation. Johnny and Chanel, remaining at the nurse's station, resumed talking about John and Marlena's love story. Chanel swooned as Johnny began to worry not only about having once hoped they would enjoy a similarly epic romance, but also about having been forced to recognize that this was not going to happen. Johnny and Chanel locked eyes and moved closer together until their lips were practically touching. "What the hell is going on here?" Allie, who had just come from a neighboring elevator, stormed up to Chanel and Johnny, demanding to know. Johnny and Chanel broke away from one another, taking turns explaining to Allie that they were both emotional after assisting John in pulling together a surprise for Marlena. I'd think you'd avoid roofs," Allie murmured during the story, but Chanel and Johnny both missed the reference. Allie was doubting Johnny and Chanel's version of events when Sarah approached and gave them an apologetic shake of the head to explain what had just occurred. Chanel went out to console Allie, who retreated and sought a hug from Sarah instead, while Johnny dashed outside. Tripp ran into Wendy while traveling through the town square and revealed, when pressed, that visiting Ava had been a nightmare on several levels. "She didn't even recognize me, she thought I was my dead brother," Tripp complained before beginning to tell Wendy the story. "I have a brother like that," Wendy fretted as Tripp told his story. "Lee hasn't done anything close to what Charlie did," Tripp told Wendy, before adding just enough detail to make his point. Tripp ultimately informed Wendy that the visit had concluded with Ava being detained, sedated, and carried off to a padded cell, all while demanding to know why Charlie was allowing such things to happen. Wendy was quick to point out that Ava blamed Charlie, but Tripp couldn't be certain there wasn't more to the story. Maybe she hates me because I left her in that place with Charlie, alone in a nightmare that she may never wake up from, Tripp explained. Johnny approached as Wendy hugged Tripp for comfort. Wendy also hugged Johnny after discovering what had transpired, and Tripp sought to express his sorrow. "You just save your sorries, pal, okay?" Johnny snapped, confusing both Tripp and Wendy. "I understand what you are going through, okay?" Tripp argued that Orpheus was also responsible for Kayla's death. "Yeah, Orpheus killed my grandmother, he killed Kayla, he killed Kate, but your lunatic mother killed my other grandma," Johnny countered. "I can't defend what she did, but she's mentally ill," Tripp added. "That's convenient, isn't it?" Johnny muttered. Johnny called Ava a homicidal lunatic bitch and compared her to Norma Bates from Psycho, causing Tripp to throw a punch. Johnny anticipated and deflected the attempted assault, then unleashed an effective counterattack on Tripp before storming away. "I know Johnny was upset, but he had no right to say those things about your mother," Wendy said as Tripp recovered from the punch. "Thanks for being there for me," Tripp said, eliciting a shrug from Wendy. "That's what friends are for," Wendy remarked while locking eyes with Tripp. Allie was giving Chanel the silent treatment at the hospital when Belle approached and offered to take on the burden of informing Sammy about what had transpired. Allie accepted the offer, figuring that Sammy would feel more at ease being vulnerable with Belle, and chased Chanel away before rushing to the chapel in search of Will. Sunny suspected that Will's representative had just provided excellent news. "The project I've been working on got the green light," Will stated, prompting Sunny to begin cheering before stopping when he realized only one of them was excited. Will nodded, confirming Sunny's suspicions. "The set is in New Zealand and they want me to go now," Will stated before beginning to phone the agent back with the intention of denying the offer, prompting Sunny's instant opposition. Sunny admitted that the timing was unfortunate, but emphasized that Marlena would not want to put Will's life on hold. "This isn't just about my grandma, I can't leave because of us," Will reasoned, confounding Sunny. "Let's just say my grandmother gets better, and then I leave," Will continued. "We're gonna be apart for at least 6 months, Sunny, and it's a 16-hour flight one way, we're never gonna have time to go and see each other," Will joked. Sunny recognized that Will was correct in his concerns regarding Leo. "And, Will, you mentioned that you were afraid because it didn't feel like us anymore? Okay, but this movie is a dream come true, and if you let me hold you back, you won't be yourself anymore, and will never be us," Sunny emphasized. "I don't think I can talk about this right now," Will abruptly decided. "I understand, I mean, not until we know how your grandma's doing," Sunny said me. "Just being away from you for that long," Will worried. "Hey, you said you couldn't discuss this right now, okay? So, let's wait, now isn't the time," Sunny added. Will said, "I love you so much," and Sunny returned the gesture with a hug and kiss.